Hello there, kia ora. The latest inflation figures are out, and it's bad news, and you'll never guess who's to blame for it. Oh, yeah, you probably can, because the International Monetary Fund said that this would happen if the government did exactly what they did at budget time. The Consumer Price Index has risen to 2.7%, which continues a trend of increasing CPI that we've seen this year after the return to normal after highs caused by COVID and subsequent supply chain issues and international conflicts, which impacted a large number of imported goods. CPI is driven by two distinct categories: tradable and non tradable inflation. Tradable is inflation influenced by foreign markets. This is what's seen an increase in cost to items like eggs, cheese, and milk, which went up 11.1% and makes up 30% of this group's inflation increase. The other big grower in this group is overseas accommodation prepaid in New Zealand, tourism. And part of this is seasonal as we see tourism numbers increase around already limited accommodation areas like Queenstown. It's basically surge pricing. Non tradable inflation is the price on things not influenced by overseas markets like power, rents, and rates. This saw an increase of 3.2% for rents, 11.9% for rates, and 9.1% for power. Insurance saw an increase of 6%, and new home ownership dropped to 0.8%. Now, both tradable and non tradable interest can be influenced by central government in a number of ways. For example, our dairy prices can be influenced by regulating Fonterra's milk price setting or building a stronger economy that means better exchange rates for internationally sold goods. They could even look at increasing minimum wage above the rate of inflation, which gives consumers more buying power, which increases competition, which leads to lower prices. Or, Nicola could sit down with Fonterra and say, hey, stop it. I'm sure that would work too. In non-tradable causes, the government could look at new revenue tools for councils to offset the need for rates increases to cover the massive cost increases in infrastructure maintenance, the return of aging water infrastructure into their books, and a series of mandated changes councils have to do under law, like removing the Auckland Regional Fuel Tax with money earmarked on transport infrastructure costs. Instead, they're claiming a rates cap will fix it all by forcing councils to cut or privatise core services with limited incomes, which will still impact negatively on inflation. Lower rates also mean lower rent increases. Rates increases is one of the leading reasons for rent increases. They could move the bright line test to encourage more first home buyers over investors, introduce a capital gains tax, build more houses to ensure a supply to keep prices regulated, or look at financial assistance to renters. Instead, they gave landlords a tax cut to maybe put downward pressure on rents. They could also look at ways to lower power costs. This government claimed that reopening oil and gas exploration in areas that there have been no new discoveries in decades is the answer to this, along with fast-track consents, but said a fully renewable energy sector in under a decade was impossible, and experts in the fields have said that we're woefully behind the ball on energy options. Incentivizing the use of solar to help offset household costs in their main supply, encouraging more competition in the market against the big gentailers, investing in solar and wind sources to improve supply directly, making it easier for commercial entities to choose renewable options in design and upgrades. All of this could help offset power supply costs. In the next quarter, power prices will also be a major driver of the final CPI number because it includes the coldest, darkest days of winter. Oh, and as for insurance, while New Zealand first talk about making banks and insurance less woke, insurers still take on board issues around climate change and the impact of it on their work and clients. And the government's walking back on climate change mitigation means these are going to continue to rise as the severity and regularity of weather events keep increasing and the damage they cause keeps increasing. So while there will be people celebrating that the CPI is still in the acceptable band or making dumbass comments comparing inflation under Labour with a set of massive global circumstances that impacted every country in the world, which aren't in play now, but somehow they see it as still a comparison that they need to make, the fact is the decisions this government has been making have been inflationary, and we're seeing that play out in the numbers. And ultimately, it's the average New Zealander that end up paying the cost for it, both literally and figuratively. Hey, thanks for checking out today's video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you get more updates as we go along. We deal with these guys for the rest of the year.